Though a lot of times the good is the enemy of the best. The good kind of gets in the way of prioritizing what's best.
That's right.
And caring for our kids is good, absolutely. As a mother, we understand that. But putting our husbands before our children actually is the best.
Yeah.
Because then we're better equipped to look after those kids
And we have to
build
learn
them.
that because a lot of
Exactly.
times we don't get that.
Well, we're here in the kitchen with Mike and Diane, Eric and Kara, and Jimmy Evans. That's some good stuff there. Just three. I like just 3 points because it's easy for me to kind of grab onto and think about. But all based on Genesis 2 passage there. A man shall leave his father and mother, shall cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So 1, 2, 3. Priorities, yeah.
I'm sorry, honey, go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you. No, so I'm trying to remember because I just heard those 3. So priorities,
Yeah.
and then energy, putting energy into it, working at it, and then oneness and sharing.
Okay,
There we
so
go.
what I was going to say was I love the insight he gave, like the whole cleave thing. You hear about that, leave his father, mother, and cleave to his wife.
Yeah.
Cleave actually means, in the original language, to actively pursue. Cleave. So you're not only have you left that relationship, meaning that you've disconnected from the priority of your parents in your life as that, not that you disconnected from your parents. But that you're actually actively pursuing your spouse.
Putting
I love
energy
that.
into it, because that cleave idea, is it's used elsewhere in the Old Testament, that same word where it talks about a man who cleaved to his sword. He was a warrior, and he had to hold on to that thing tightly, so that's putting energy into it.
I like that.
If you just kind of relax, you're not going to do very well in the battle. But cleaving energy, but number 1 is priority.
Yeah.
So maybe we can kick around this idea of priority, because other things are good in life, but he said good things out of priority mess things up.
Yeah,
Well, for me, this is when we talk about a successful marriage and we want a successful marriage. This goes back to the sports again. I'm sorry, but it's the coach, right? And it's practicing the fundamentals. This is what it is, right? You still when you have pro hockey players still start with the skate. They warm up, right? They exercise, and then there are some skill things that they do in terms of practicing and getting ready, game after game. Even though they're professionals and they're paid a lot of money, every day there are fundamentals that they do, and this is practicing the fundamentals of a successful marriage. It is prioritizing your bride, right? It is making sure that we put her first in all we do, and make sure that she's first, and then we put effort into it. Effort leads to excellence, right? Effort leads to excellence, and then finally sharing everything. And so the fundamentals, practicing the fundamentals, we can't go over them enough.
That's right.
And we remember that. We know that. I mean, we know the fundamentals, but sometimes we have to remind ourselves, you guys,
Exercise
of
the fundamentals.
Yeah.
For me specifically, it's from different influences in my life. I learned that the man was to be the head of the household. And I just recently am getting to know better what that actually means, because in my mind that was like I'm the one that has the final decision and I'm the one with the control. But this sharing everything mentality means that I have to also share control, where I have to go from the head of the household, meaning I'm in control, to being the head of the household, meaning like I am the main protector of my family. But when it comes to big decisions, it comes to our relationship, we actually need to share that control, and that's something that I am learning right now.
That's right. No, it's good. And it's about prioritizing like your spouse's opinions on things too. Like, so instead of being the head of the household and just making all these decisions, but saying, okay, but what would work with my wife too? Or what would work with my husband? Because the truth is, it's buying a new TV without your spouse, or buying a new cell phone or a car or a house or whatever it may be, isn't worth coming between us. It's not worth it, because all of those things will fade away, but this will remain, and this is what we're supposed to prioritize. This is what we're supposed to protect.
And I think it's important too that we keep talking about, the guys, but for women, for us women, we have to realize as well, right, that we have to help our husbands, right? We are their helpmate, and it's not just on them to, make sure that they prioritize the marriage. It's up to us as wives to make sure that that happens as well and to help guide them as well.
Yeah.
We took a little test, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, before we got married, part of our marriage counseling, we there were 5 things that were listed, and amongst them was God, your spouse, friends, children, and they asked us to prioritize these 5 things. That's only 4 of them, but they asked us. And so I said, God and then my bride. My bride said, God and then our children.
I was
Yes, yes. But
You were talking in faith because that was before you got married.
Yes. But I'm okay with that even today, right? Well, God says we probably should kind of do it the other way, but I understand that motherly instinct, right?
Well, it's like Jimmy Evans said, though, a lot of times the good is the enemy of the best. The good kind of gets in the way of prioritizing what's best.
That's right.
And
That's right.
caring for our
Absolutely.
kids is good. Absolutely. As a mother, we understand that. But putting our husbands before our
That's
children
right.
actually is the best.
Yeah.
Because then we're better equipped to look after those kids
And we have to
build
learn
into
that
those-
because a lot of
exactly.
times we don't get that, right?
I love
And
that.
the sharing everything you had mentioned about the idea of just kind of getting a new understanding of what it means to be a head of the household, or to be the person that God calls you to be, because we're told, the Apostle Paul talks about it in Ephesians 5, to love your wife as Christ loved the church. And so that type of leadership means you're sacrificial, you're giving, you're thinking of the other person first. Christ sacrificed everything for his church. And so it's a whole different idea of leadership, that you're responsible for the well-being of the home, and that means the well-being of your wife first, putting her needs before your own. And that kind of turns being a head or a leader right upside down, because it's a servant leader, and that's the way Jesus is.
Yeah, and that's good stuff. And
Yeah.
that's really how you become a better us. Is keeping those priorities right and following God's word on how to have a good marriage.
All right, good discussion, guys. And so stay with us. We are going to be back in the kitchen in just a little bit.
All right.
There's no correlation between conflict and couples who divorce. There is, however, a strong correlation between the habitual avoidance of conflict and divorce.